Hello, everyone. Reverend Carol here. And this week, our lesson is about joy. During this month of Advent, excuse me, we have explored the spiritual gifts of faith and peace and love. And in this week's lesson, we look at how the Christmas story reveals joy, the joy that comes from expressing the Christ in our lives. The Bible tells the story of wise people who came from lands to the east of Israel. Well, we can imagine that they might have come from Turkey or Iraq or Arabia, where astronomers of those times knew about the heavens and might have given significance to a great light in the sky. We can also imagine what immense joy they might have felt at the realization that the light of the Christ had come into the world. Now, the story tells us that they came a great way to bring gifts to the baby Jesus. And these gifts have metaphysical significance as understood by our Unity co-founder, Charles Fillmore, and is shared in our Bible story. We imagine that the wise people would have joyfully shared these gifts with Jesus, just as Jesus joyfully shared his teachings with others. Wise people still follow the light to the Christ presence within. Anytime we remember that the Christ can be expressed in us every day, we can feel great joy. Now, Advent means the coming, and it refers to the coming forth of the Christ. We celebrate not just the birth of Jesus 2,000 years ago, but the coming of the Christ light expressing in our lives, which can happen every day and every moment. During the 4 weeks of Advent, we light a candle each week to remind ourselves of the Christ light within us and the different parts of the Christmas story. To welcome the coming of the Christ expressing in our lives and hearts, we need some of our spiritual gifts to help us. In the first week of Advent, we talked about that spiritual power of faith. And Mary had faith in the message from the angel Gabriel telling her that she would be the mother of Jesus. And in the second week, we talked about the spiritual power of love. We talked about the spiritual gift of peace or peacemaking. And then in the third week, we talked about the spiritual power of love. Now, this week, we will talk about the spiritual gift of joy. So let's see where the message of joy enters into our Christmas Advent story. Now, this is a message from Matthew 2. It's adapted from Matthew 2. Around the time that Jesus was born, a brilliant star shone in the heavens. Some astronomers living in the lands to the east of Israel noticed the light from this unusual star. They were awestruck. To these wise and spiritual people, the light of the star let them know that the Christ was born, bringing teachings of love for all people. And they felt great joy. They decided to travel to find the Christ and bring gifts to show their joy. The wise people followed the light of this heavenly star until it stopped in Bethlehem, over the place where the Christ child was. With joy, they found the Christ child and offered gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. Gold reminds us of the richness of spirit, or the wise and rich ideas that Jesus taught. Frankincense is a perfume that reminds us of the beauty of spirit, or the beautiful way we feel when we live life the way Jesus taught us. And myrrh is a blessing oil used at funerals that reminds us of the eternity of spirit, meaning that the Christ spirit within us never dies. The wise people joyfully shared these gifts with Jesus, just as Jesus joyfully shared his teachings with others. Anytime we remember that Christ can be born in us every day, we can feel great joy. Now, I want to close with using our affirmation that we've been, by repeating the affirmation we've been using during this Advent season. And it is, from the power of the Christ within, I live my soul purpose and create new good in my life, my community, and the world. I hope you're using that affirmation with the rest of the community. I've been doing it as well 3 times a day. And I found so much new good in my life. Know that we here at Unity of Austin, we love you, we miss you, and you and your families are in our prayers. Have a very joyful Christmas.